guys, back at it again, and this time it's not a review, but we got a top 10 of 2025. My top 10. Here we go. So yes, guys, finally we're at that time. The year is pretty much come to an end at this point. We got my top 10 films of the year. This is the first time I've done this on this channel, obviously, because this channel just got up and running. But I do have, I did do a top 10 on my old Enter the Nightmare channel, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yes, I'll say in this top 10, you'll see a couple movies that I did not review throughout the years, ones I got to either late or just didn't get a chance to review it when it came out. So there's some of those mixed in. I might spend a bit more time on those just because I didn't get a chance to review those, while maybe not taking as much time for those that I've already reviewed. But there will be links in the descriptions of the movies that I did review. But I always like to start actually, first of all, even before we get to honorable mentions, some movies I did not get to see. I did not get to see Hamnet. I really wanted to. I know that's considered like one of the best movies of the year. It just didn't work out, and when that movie came out in theaters, I missed it. And then getting the chance to see it, it never worked out, unfortunately. Sentimental Value is another one. Eternity is another one that I missed. And then Thunderbolts was the Marvel film that I did not get the chance to see. The biggest one for me was Hamnet, and then probably Sentimental Value. But you know, it sucks, but that happens. When you do your top 10s, you don't get to see everything. It's just not the way it falls sometimes, unfortunately. But anyways, so my top 10 films, actually, again, before we get to that, I want to give some honorable mentions. What are some honorable mentions? So my honorable mentions, I got 4. 3 of them we did on the channel. I think Materialist, which really good movie that does a really good job commenting on today's datings and the way dating is now. As well as just really good performances. Dakota Johnson is a favorite of mine, someone that I've liked more and more. Stuff when she's not in the big box office stuff. You also have 28 Years Later, which I really enjoyed. Way different than I ever could imagine, which might actually be why it's not on the top 10. But I do think a crazy adventure type film. While it doesn't necessarily have the horror of the first movie, it still has some crazy moments throughout, and introduces us to even a bigger world, and it felt like a game experience, which really aided for it. Didn't quite make the top 10 just because it hasn't really stuck with me as well as I would have hoped. And I'm still really excited for Bone Temple, the next movie. And I prefer the original. I just think the original is scarier. The original is more basic, but like almost in a way that just relays itself better. And the atmosphere is better. Granted, I will say the score is very good in 20 Years Later. Not to keep going on 20 Years Later. I'll put the description down below because I did do a review on that earlier. I think that was my first review of the year, actually. Also, Predator Badlands. What a fun movie theater experience. Way better than I was expecting going in. I'm more of an Alien guy opposed to a Predator guy. But just a movie that definitely had more of almost like a Marvel feeling to it, but worked because it had a lot of fun. I liked the world that they were on. I liked the new Predator. I thought Elle Fanning was really good in that movie. And there's a bunch of monsters along the way that I thought were really cool, and just I thought it was a really well done job, and I think the last couple Predator movies have been really good. So we'll see how it goes. And I like the Easter egg stuff they do in that movie as well. And then the final honorable mention is a movie I did not get to see until recent, which sucks because like what a blast of a movie, and that's Drop. One that I did not get to see, able for me to review it, but what a fun, crazy. I mean, it is Christopher Landon through and through. If you love the Happy Death Day movies, this is like right up your alley. This movie is a bit darker though, because it does tackle some domestic abuse stuff that I thought was really well done. It's not necessarily fun as far as like haha fun, more fun like just a thrill ride. And Megan Faye as the main, who plays the main character, does a great job. Very believable. Brendan Skalnar is spoiler, he will be mentioned again today. He was solid in the movie, but yeah, just honestly, it's a movie that could go higher as time goes on. It's very rewatchable. And yeah, Christopher Landon is somebody that of movies I just really enjoy. So yeah, that's my honorable mentions. So then we got to get to my top 10. We'll see how controversial it might be. How many people might agree, might disagree. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So here we go. My number 10, and that's Zach Cregger's Weapons. Going in, I didn't know where this movie was going to rank. I know for some this might be way higher. For some it might be off. This was definitely a divisive film when it came out. I think this movie is incredibly well executed. I think basically having these different storylines that eventually connect into one, I thought Cregger did a great job with that. You were invested in each character. I thought Julia Garner was great. I thought Josh Brolin was really good. The one to talk about is obviously Amy Madigan, who's just ridiculously good in this movie, and looks like he's going to be nominated for an Oscar. I reviewed this movie before, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but what I'll say what this movie does so well, it takes these connected storylines, brings them together for a crazy finale, but it builds atmosphere so damn well. It builds incredible atmosphere from start to finish. I think Cregger does a wonderful job. That's why he kind of would have my vote for maybe doing a Nightmare on Elm Street movie if we ever get one. I just think this movie it's done really well. The only reason this movie is not higher is simply because some of the tone doesn't work for me at times, as well as like the ending I was not in love with. I thought it chose like gore and violence a bit too much to the extent where it didn't feel like it made sense within the movie, or like it fell out of place. Especially the ending. I mean, there's definitely violence throughout this movie, but the ending really, like, there's a particular scene that I was just like, I don't know that we needed that, at least not to that extent. And I'm a horror guy, as you can tell, but I like when things fit, and it just didn't quite fit for me, but I do think this movie is excellent, one of the best of the year. It's not quite as good as Barbarian is for me, but definitely go, if you've not had a chance to go see this, it's definitely one of the better movies of this year. And that is my number 10, Weapons. My number 9 is a movie I did not get to review on this channel beforehand, and that is Together, directed by Michael Shanks, starring Alison Brie and Dave Franco. Obviously, they're together in real life. But this movie is just batshit crazy, has some great comedic moments, but also the body horror works tremendously, like, throughout. To me, it never goes too crazy with the body horror, but when they need to use it, it's done really well, and it makes sense. Because you're following a couple who go to this a different area, this remote area away from all their friends, and they're trying to bring the relationship back together. Dave Franco's character is kind of like, feels like he's being pulled away from his rock star lifestyle, and Alison Brie's trying to keep their relationship together. So, you know, and and so they move to a remote location. They end up drinking some weird stuff out of this cave, and there's weird water out of this cave, and eventually this thing gets into them where it's trying to make them as one. It's basically bringing them together, but like actually, if you've seen the trailer, actually make them into one single being. And it's got a lot of great messages as far as like codependency and just people relying so much on one another through different aspects. I think like Alison Brie's character really, like, there's a scene where it says she can't really cook, so Dave Franco does all the cooking, but he doesn't drive, so she does all the driving. That's a great scene to kind of show you how this relationship works, but is pieced together. And I just feel like those two are together in real life, so the chemistry is already there. It's fantastic. I think Michael Shanks does a great job of mixing in. There's really good humor throughout. There's humor with diazepam. I think the quote is, I'm gonna mess the quote up. If not, I'll have it up. But if we snort this, it will go through faster. Something of those lines. It's just a funny ass line. And it just super, like, there's a lot of solid comedic moments throughout. Also, there's some good haunting moments. Like, there's a moment with Dave Franco's character's mom, who is like, there's a moment when he's talking about how his parents died, and there's a scene with the mom that's super creepy, super well done. There's even an Alison Brie moment where her character does some weird shit. There's some creepy moments in this movie, and I just feel like this movie was like, going into it, I wasn't. That's kind of, I think, why I skipped it, because like, I enjoy body horror when done right, when it's not crazy excessive, but it's not usually my go-to. I'm glad I got the chance to see this, because while it has body horror and there's some like icky moments, it's not too much to the point where you're like, it's beating you over the head with it. There's also a really funny scene where they're having sex and Dave Franco's character kind of gets stuck in Alison Brie's character, and it's really funny and well done. It's just, that's how this whole movie is. This movie is really good. Definitely go out and see it, and hopefully we get more from Michael Shanks and what he's got to offer going forward. That is my number 9. Yes, my number 8 is The Housemaid. I did do a review of that on the channel, so definitely go check that out. But movie that was definitely a pleasant surprise. I said in my review, I didn't know much really at all, and the trailers didn't really interest me that much. It just seemed like your run-of-the-mill thriller. And in ways, it is, but it is such a throwback to 90s thrillers like Basic Instinct and Wild Things and Cruel Intentions. It's such a throwback to those kinds of movies, erotic thrillers. And I thought, like I said, in the review, I didn't even know Paul Feig directed it until a little bit before I saw the movie. And I'm a huge fan of Simple Favor, so like instantly I was like, yes. And as far as The Housemaid goes, great cast. I think Amanda Seyfried kills it. I think Brandon Skalnor is kind of I don't want to say up and coming, but he is making waves. This is the second movie he's been in, second that I could think of this year, but this and Drop. And then Sydney Sweeney's really good. And like I said, this movie is very much a throwback to that 90s thriller. Puts you on this wild ride, gives you twists and turns. You're totally engaged at all times. Visually, really stylish, and on top of that, you have fun in a thrilling kind of way throughout the film, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat because like you think it's one thing and then it's the other. It's just a very well done movie, and there's also some comedy pockets like to kind of like calm you down a little bit after you're just all this zany shit's going on. And Paul Feig does a good job of that. If you ever see A Simple Favor is definitely more on the comedy side, but he does a really good job with the comedy stuff. And this movie, while there's less of it, because there's a lot of serious shit in this movie, spoilers real quick, this movie does tackle domestic abuse really well, as far as just like how much a partner can have over somebody and just like control everything they do, and like that person almost feels like they can't get out. I thought this movie does an excellent job of kind of tackling that stuff, but while still being an awesome thriller. Like it doesn't like beat you over the head with it. And yeah, there's some good lines throughout this movie. This movie is just, I would say it is a theater movie. Like, so if you get a chance to check it out, definitely do that. I mean, definitely one of my favorites of the year, and such a pleasant surprise. And that was my number 8. My number 7 is Warfare, directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. Another pleasant surprise. I did not see this movie in theaters, so this is kind of a fresh review. I thought this movie was excellent. It is a really solid war film, well, more than solid, a really good war film. So Ray Mendoza was a veteran, he was a Navy SEAL, and this takes place with a group of soldiers that are in this area. They're doing some kind of overseeing or overwatch, and seeing what's going on around them, and they it just does such a great job of putting you in the reality of war, but also like it shows you some things I haven't seen in movies, I guess, as much, or maybe just haven't paid attention to as much. Like it really shows the different jobs of each person. Like you really kind of like switching back and forth of like it feels like very, very realistic because of Ray Mendoza's touch on it. And obviously Alex Garland's great. I mean, the guy that directed Ex Machina, directed Civil War, has wrote various other stuff. And it feels, so the beginning kind of starts off with this fun moment with all the soldiers and them laughing and having fun. And then next thing you know, we're in war, and it instantly gets you in there, and it does a great job with the absence of a score at times, because it basically it'll be silent, and you know something's coming, and you can feel it. Like you feel you're there with these guys, like, and it's such a dread as far as just knowing something is coming, and it's just so well crafted, so well done, shot just freaking tremendously. I love the way this movie's shot. Alex Garland kills it in that department. But just also a really cool story, and like a sad story, and this movie can get violent in moments. I mean, I'm a horror fan, so nothing that I haven't seen before, but it does it really well. It feels realistic. You can feel for these soldiers, especially the ones that like are in pain and just, basically got blown up and there's like a part of their leg hanging. Like, this movie is excellent, and make sure, if you haven't had the chance, definitely check that movie out. And that's my number 7. All right, so my number 6 is a comic book movie. It is The Fantastic Four, The First Steps. If you would have told me that I would have a comic book movie in 2025, considering how down I've been on comic films over the last couple of years, I just don't know that I would have believed it, honestly. This movie, I wouldn't say reignited my hope for comic book movies, because I definitely wouldn't say that, but this movie does things in it that the most Marvel films just haven't been doing. The comedy works. It's not like a ton, but it works. The great family dynamic. Like, I love how the combination of Sue Storm and Mr. Fantastic and the Thing and Human Torch, they feel like a family, and it's done so well. You believe the chemistry of the cast. Vanessa Kirby, who plays Sue Storm, Pedro Pascal, who plays Mr. Fantastic, Iban Moss Bacharach, or hopefully I'm not mispronouncing his name, who I love, which I shouldn't have pronounced his name. I'm just terrible at that. What can I say? From who I love from The Bear. He's freaking excellent in The Bear, and he's great in this. And then also Joseph Quinn, who plays Human Torch. He's also in Warfare. Didn't get a chance to mention that, but yeah, this movie, oh man, it felt like a comic book movie. Like, it felt like the last several like superhero films have not felt comic booky, and this feels the most comic book type movie I've seen, really. And I'm not even like a comic book nerd or anything like that, or even like have comic books, but I could tell, and just the vibe of it and the way it's shot, it's just, this movie is so good. And like, as I mentioned before, the things I love about are the family dynamic and how all these guys work together, but it feels like a family. It's heartwarming. Nobody feels fake. The dialogue feels real. It doesn't feel like your typical Marvel dialogue. It's just a good. It was such a like, I just wasn't expecting it. I just was expecting more Marvel BS, or Disney BS, I guess I should say. And thankfully that's not what we got. And then, man, the introduction of Galactus is one of the best intros to any villains I can remember in a decent bit. I mean, it's so good, the intro to Galactus. Like, it freaking just, there's such a awesome factor to it. Like, and when he's first revealed, man, I'm just like, damn, this is what Galactus should feel like. This is awesome. But yeah, this Fantastic Four movie, I can't believe even how high I have it ranked, but it's a damn good superhero film, and hopefully they continue from this. I think there's a lot of things they set up within this universe, and just things they're building off of, and the Easter eggs, and I really, really enjoy this movie more than I thought. And yeah, I mean, it's the only superhero film on here. I mean, there's not been a ton this year, but I definitely enjoy this film a lot, and that's my number 6. My number 5 is One Battle After Another, directed by PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson, obviously starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Chase Infinity, Tanya Taylor, Regina Hall, Benicio del Toro, and Sean Penn, obviously. What a great freaking cast. This movie was really everything I was kind of hoping it would be. I mean, I will say, based on the trailers, I thought we were getting more heat, but it's still a great movie, shot amazingly. Probably going to win Best Picture. I don't know if it's my pick, but I'm not mad at it, because I do think it's one of the best movies of the year. It's one of my favorite PTA movies. I've not seen all of his movies, but of the ones I've seen, I think there's some good comedy pockets in this movie. Actually, more than a few. This movie is like funny and ridiculous, quite like more often than not. And it just does a really good job. I think Leo is just so fun in this movie. How Leo and Del Toro play off of each other is just awesome. It's just so much fun. But then you have the serious stuff. You have Sean Penn character Lockjaw, who is a menace, but also just super freaking weird. But it fits the vibe of the whole movie. And honestly, I think Sean Penn. I don't know, best supporting dude. There's some good ones out there right now, but whew, he was awesome in that movie, as well as Benicio. I think they're both probably gonna end up getting nominated in this movie because they're both great. But Sean Penn, man, he's one of my favorite performances of the year. Such a freaking weirdo in this movie, and I love it. I just love it. Yeah, it's just, and even like the first 30 minutes does a really good job of taking you through these domestic terrorists as how they're looked at, and just the ins and outs of that, and like then presenting you Leo and Tanya Taylor's relationship, and then eventually as we transition to later the film where you get Leo and his daughter, played by Chase Infinity, who Leo's character Bob, but you get to see that father-son dynamic, father-daughter dynamic, which is really well done. One of my some of my favorite stuff from this movie. I thought their relationship was really cool, and when you eventually get to the end and how it wraps up is really well done. Yeah, the ending is really good. Like, this is an excellent movie, and the thing is, 5 and up, I pretty much love all the films. So like, there's not a big gap between 5 through 1. But that's just how I have this movie ranked. I just think the ones above it I enjoyed a little bit more. The rewatchability is a bit higher for the ones above it. But yeah, I mean, One Battle After Another is freaking great, man. Definitely one of the best of the year. And fully deserving if it does win Best Picture. Next, we got number 4. We're at number 4. We're getting along. We're getting through this list one by one. But number 4, we got Darren Aronofsky's new film that came out this year, Caught Stealing. This is my next pleasant surprise. I will say the trailer for this, though, I was pretty excited for, but I've never been like a huge Darren Aronofsky fan. I do enjoy his work. Black Swan's great. But I don't necessarily see his name and be like, whoa. But this movie is fun, dark, and just great cast. Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz are great. I mean, Austin Butler shows how much of a lead he truly is. Zoe Kravitz is fantastic as his girlfriend. There's a cat in this movie. If you're a cat lover, you'll love the use of the cat in this movie. This movie is just a crazy ride from start to finish, as Austin Butler's character kind of like has to evade these certain gangsters and hitmen, essentially, because of what his neighbor put him through. Neighbor played by Matt Smith, who's also great in this movie. But my personal favorite 2 performances are by Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio, as they play like these Jewish hitmen, kinda. And they are freaking hilarious in this movie. I mean, they're awful. Like, they're nasty people as far as, like, they don't give a damn. But, man, they just steal scenes every time they're in it. And I just, that's some of my favorite parts of the movie are those 2. And this movie is just so fun. This is probably the most rewatchable film on this whole list, if I'm going to be honest. It's just so engaging. I love the performances. I love the ride that you're on. I love the craziness of it. Darren Aronofsky got this film and just delivered. I mean, just straight out delivered with it. Also, one more shout out to Bad Bunny, also great in this movie. Like, this movie just has a cool cast of characters and cool cast of actors, and it's just Regina King. Like, this movie's great. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. Next, we got the top 3. What made it? All right, so this is my top three, the three best films I've seen all year. Again, my five and up are all very close, but my number three is a movie I just saw. I just dropped a review on, and that is Marty Supreme. Just, I mean, this movie is just epic. Great sports film. Granted, I don't really even like it. Follows table tennis, and it is about centered around table tennis. But there's, I don't know that that's the most engaging parts of this movie. I think the director Josh Safdie does a wonderful job of like constantly putting you in this freaking insane thrill ride from start to finish, following the character of Marty, played by Timothée Chalamet, who's great in this movie. Should be nominated, will be nominated. He's just he's so freaking engaging as this confident, cocky, goal-driven, sees his dream, will stop at nothing to get there, even if he has to kind of use the people along the way to get what he wants. You also have Odessa Azon in there, who's great, and in my opinion should be nominated for an Oscar. I think she's freaking fantastic in this movie. She's my other favorite part of the film. I think they play off of each other really well, have really good chemistry together. This movie is just, if you like Uncut Gems, there are some similarities. Obviously, Uncut Gems is done by the Safdie brothers. This is just Josh Safdie, but as far as like the main character being uber confident, but like also lying constantly to get from one moment to the next, just so he can live his dream of being in the world championship and winning the world championship and being the best table tennis player he can be. This movie is just so damn engaging. Gwyneth Paltrow's also good in this movie. Tyler Creator, shout out to Tyler Creator. There's just so many good performances. Great score. I mentioned that in the review. One of my favorite scores of the year. I think there's only one other score that I enjoyed a bit more, but the score is so damn good. Score / soundtrack. There's some good songs in there as well, but man, this movie, the more I think about it, the more I like it, the more it might go higher as time goes on. It's just so well done, so crafted so well, shot amazingly. Like, this movie just doesn't really have a flaw to me. It's so good. It doesn't stick with your normal tropes of a sports film. Just one of the best, and that is my number three. So my number two is the best theater experience of the entire year, and that is F1. What an awesome freaking movie. The best theater experience I've had all year, like by far. It is a must-see in theaters. I didn't get to see an IMAX, which makes me really sad, because this movie is excellent. It almost made me want to go out and check Formula One racing, because it's so engaging. It's visually stunning. The stunt work is amazing, top tier. If you love Top Gun Maverick, this movie is right up there with the freaking visuals. It brings you into the life of what a driver would be. You follow Brad Pitt's character, Sonny, as he's kind of getting back into the game, and also kind of showing the new guy the ropes, played by Damson Idris, who's also great in this movie. Kerry Condon's really good in this movie. I love Brad Pitt and his friend Javier Bardem, Sonny's friend Ruben, I think it is. Those two play great together, great chemistry. The biggest thing about this movie, it is as good of a theater experience as you'll have of any of the films that came out this year. It's just so freaking awesome, and you're never bored, not 1 second. It has some formulaic sports stuff in it, as most sports films do, but You're just totally engaged the whole time, and it brings you into the world of Formula One racing. And that is my number 2, and that leaves me with my number 1. Sinners, the movie that has been number 1 since the beginning of the year. Excellent. The best score I've heard all year, the blues score. Ryan Coogler's best movie, maybe, in my opinion. I don't know if that's maybe. It might be his best movie. The cast is just amazing. Michael B. Jordan's going to get nominated for an Oscar. He's freaking great as he's playing 2 different roles as these twins. I also love Delroy Lindo in this movie as Delta Slim. He is awesome in this movie. The character of Sammy, who you kind of follow. He kind of is the main character, but I would also say Stack and Smoke, who are the 2 twins that Michael B. Jordan plays, I would say they kind of also are a main character, but I think the movie is just the main character with the score and the bluesy feel to it and like that era and just how this movie kind of tackles racism during that time period. It's just, this movie is so excellently done, well crafted. I haven't even got to the vampire stuff because most of this movie is not even vampire stuff, and those parts of the movie are awesome. And like, you just have awesome characters with Smoke and Stack who play off each other brilliantly. When you have Smoke, who's more reserved, and then more of the it feels like he could be the ticking time bomb, but he's the calm one also. And then you have Stack, who is just like he's the party. He's full of life. And it's such a great dynamic. And then freaking Haley Steinfeld, amazing in this, or really good in this movie too. She's really good chemistry with Michael B. Jordan. There's so many good characters: Sammy, Delta Slim, Annie, Smoke and Stack, and just the list goes on, man. I just like, the thing I love about this movie, I love the characters, even the small ones like Cornbread. Like, they're just it's such a fun cast of characters, and this movie has its serious moments, it has its comedic moments, and it blends in very well. And then we have the darker moments once we get to the vampire stuff, which the vampire stuff is amazing. Jack O'Connell is freaking terrific as this villain vampire, this Irish vampire. He is just so engaging. Like, I almost wanted more. I wanted my own movie of his. Like, I just think he's freaking just great as this evil vampire. This movie made vampires cool again. Like, this movie is so freaking just cool. I just don't even know what else you say. I mean, this movie is the closest perfect movie as you can get. I didn't get to do a review of this movie because this movie came out right before I started the channel. But man, I did get to see this in theaters, and it was such a great experience. And it has not gotten worse for me. The movie is just fantastic. Shout out to Ryan Coogler. He nailed it. He nailed what he was going for. And yeah, mad respect to him and just everything he achieved in this movie. And it would be my pick for Best Picture, but that's no disrespect to like One Battle After Another and some of those other ones that are getting nominated. I mean, Hamnet, one I haven't even seen, obviously. Marty Supreme, all just excellent movies. And that's my number 1, guys. That's my top 10. What did you think of my list? Do you have a different list? Let me know down in the comments. What did you think? Do I have a good list? Do you think my list sucks? What's your number 1? I'm curious. Put your top 10s down in the comments. I would love to know. This is a fun one to do, and I've got my most anticipated movies coming out soon, of 2026, so that should be fun. But this is a good close to 2025, and it's been a solid year. I think it picked up. Some of the top end movies were really excellent. And yeah, guys, put those lists down below. And as always, guys, I'll see you next time.